Namaste and welcome to Aadharshila Talks at RRIS. Aadharshila is a platform for intellectuals converging from diverse spheres of knowledge to share novel, deep, and insightful ideas of intellect that fuel thought, conversation, and action of the minds of our audience. We believe in fostering ideas that are both highly relevant and radically different to enrich the minds of our audiences. Joining us on this platform from across the country and the world. We strive to bring you the most accomplished and inspiring speakers that ignite invaluable knowledge sparks to spread the light of continuous learning and development among educators, teachers, administrators, students, and parents. RRIS is delighted to host you on this delightful journey by facilitating this platform as our way of giving back to the community and stakeholders that keep us motivated. And of all things, we expect just one thing from you to share this light of knowledge with your friends, family, peers, and your network. Do invite them to register for these sessions or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ramratna International School Official. Thank you for joining in today, and we look forward to an inspiring session. Onward we go, forward we march. Best wishes from Ram Ratna International School. Namaste and welcome to Aadharshila Talks at RRIS. Aadharshila is a platform for intellectuals converging from diverse spheres of knowledge to share novel, deep, and insightful ideas of intellect that fuel thought, conversation, and action of the minds of our audience. We believe in fostering ideas that are both highly relevant and radically different to enrich the minds of our audiences. Joining us on this platform from across the country and the world. We strive to bring you the most accomplished and inspiring speakers that ignite invaluable knowledge sparks to spread the light of continuous learning and development among educators, teachers, administrators, students, and parents. RRIS is delighted to host you on this delightful journey by facilitating this platform as our way of giving back to the community and stakeholders that keep us motivated. And of all things, we expect just one thing from you to share this light of knowledge with your friends, family, peers, and your network. Do invite them to register for these sessions or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ramratna International School Official. Thank you for joining in today, and we look forward to an inspiring session. Onward we go, forward we march. Best wishes from Ram Ratna International School. Namaste and welcome to Aadharshila Talks at RRIS. Aadharshila is a platform for intellectuals converging from diverse spheres of knowledge to share novel, deep, and insightful ideas of intellect that fuel thought, conversation, and action of the minds of our audience. We believe in fostering ideas that are both highly relevant and radically different to enrich the minds of our audiences. Joining us on this platform from across the country and the world, we strive to bring you the most accomplished and inspiring speakers that ignite invaluable knowledge sparks to spread the light of continuous learning and development among educators, teachers, administrators, students, and parents. RRIS is delighted to host you on this delightful journey by facilitating this platform as our way of giving back to the community and stakeholders that keep us motivated. And of all things, we expect just one thing from you to share this light of knowledge with your friends, family, peers, and your network. Do invite them to register for these sessions or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ramratna International School Official. Thank you for joining in today, and we look forward to an inspiring session. Onward we go, forward we march. Best wishes from Ram Ratna International School. Namaste and welcome to Aadharshila Talks at RRIS. Aadharshila is a platform for intellectuals converging from diverse spheres of knowledge to share novel, deep, and insightful ideas of intellect that fuel thought, conversation, and action of the minds of our audience. We believe in fostering ideas that are both highly relevant and radically different to enrich the minds of our audiences. Joining us on this platform from across the country and the world, we strive to bring you the most accomplished and inspiring speakers that ignite invaluable knowledge sparks to spread the light of continuous learning and development among educators, teachers, administrators, students, and parents. RRIS is delighted to host you on this delightful journey by facilitating this platform as our way of giving back to the community and stakeholders that keep us motivated. And of all things, we expect just one thing from you to share this light of knowledge with your friends, family, peers, and your network. Do invite them to register for these sessions or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ramratna International School Official. Thank you for joining in today, and we look forward to an inspiring session. Onward we go, forward we march. Best wishes from Ram Ratna International School.
Namaste, good afternoon. Welcome, Dr. Gauri, ma'am. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. What a pleasure to see you. And as ever, I must say, you look radiant.
Thank you so much. Same here. It's wonderful to see you and to see your warm smile.
Actually, I think we didn't meet as much before the pandemic as we spoke and connected and saw virtually each other during the pandemic.
Yes, absolutely. Very true.
Thanks to the technology, you have interacted with our students, you have interacted with our staff, and today hosting you at Aadharshila, it's a dream come true.
It's my
I would
pleasure.
like you to know this. Ma'am, with your
Thank you.
permission, as it is free, should we formally begin with the session?
Yes, please. Yes.
And I would like you to know that we have teachers in the call, most of the teachers from my school, and there would be teachers from other various schools from the country. We might have more participants join us during the talk. Namaste, good afternoon, and welcome to all the participants. It's a proud privilege and an honor to have Dr. Gauri Hardikar, the Aadharshila Speaker of the Day, giving us the 91st Aadharshila Talk at RRIS. Since I have a few questions for you, tell me any one big decision you have made in life for which you had to struggle and think a lot, spend a lot of time and energy on. Any decision of life which took up a lot of your time and attention and gave you anxiety. I'm looking for answers in the chat box. Didn't get any. It could be whom to marry, when to marry, what to study. It could be anything. To have the child, not to have the child. Teacher, not to be a teacher. No answers. Shifting from Delhi to Mumbai, okay. Yes, it could be a challenging decision to make. Continue with the job or pursue my passion. Oh, wonderful, ma'am. Then related to important events of life, many instances, right? So, we all come across situations where we have to make decisions. We come across situations where we are immersed in so much of work pressure that we are done with a lot of work time, might require us to have the skill of managing our emotions, managing our stress. All of us, those who are professionals, have to deal with people, have to manage such situations on a daily basis where what we speak, how we communicate, the interpersonal relationships we have with people, the relationship we have with ourselves, to know ourselves, everything plays a huge role in leading our day-to-day life in a more meaningful and a successful way, which makes us feel by the end of the day that it was a day well spent. All that I've spoken about, in a way, touches upon the life skills. If we have these life skills, which give us the ability to deal with our daily affairs, with people, with situations, in a more confident way, is going to definitely make our life easier, much easier, simpler, and more impactful. Today, in our session with Dr. Gauri, we are going to learn how life skills play an important role and how education can become transformational if we involve life skills. Let me formally introduce Dr. Gauri P. Hardikar to all of you. Dr. Hardikar is the Secretary of Indian Association of Life Skills Education. Ma'am possesses over 20 years of experience in the field of teacher education. She was formerly an associate professor with Srimati Kapila Khandwala College of Education, Mumbai. She is also the assistant editor for the International Journal of Life Skills Education, is a guest faculty in the Department of Education, University of Mumbai, for the certificate course on life skills education. Ma'am's interests include teacher education, life skills education, positive psychology, andragogy, youth development, and comparative education. She has been a part of the team which developed the EB-Ed curriculum under the I Consent Consortium. She is the co-editor, World Council of Comparative Education Societies Chronicle, and has been the co-chair, World Council of Comparative Education Societies Journal and Chronicle Task Force. Ma'am was the chair, Conference Organizing Committee for the 7th International Conference of the Indian Ocean Comparative Education Society, co-convened with the 4th Symposium of the World Council for Comparative Education. She is on the advisory board of the Her Highness Youth Organization, Sri Lanka, which works in the area of empowering young girls in Sri Lanka. She has been invited to chair sessions as well as present her views as a speaker in conferences in India and abroad. In the recent past, Dr. Gauri was a plenary speaker for the International Symposium on Comparative Education organized by the International Bureau of Education, UNESCO, at Geneva, Switzerland. Ma'am, without any further ado, I would like to invite you and kindly take over the stage. We are very eager to learning from you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jaya. Namaste, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here with all of you today. And Dr. Jaya, thank you so much for your warm invite and kind introduction. Rarely does it happen that a session on life skills starts with an introduction of life skills, which is what you have done today. Generally, the person who is introducing would start with the introduction of the speaker, but you have asked such a pertinent question today to all of us. What is a decision that you have taken and which you had to think a lot or stressed you out? And you have actually begun the session, I think, on a wonderful note. That just goes to show how much you yourself believe in life skills education. And I'm so happy to be here with you and so many people whom you have provided, I think, a platform for all of us to be here today. And we will spend some time talking about something which is a passion for me, which is life skills education, and how do we make education per se more impactful through inclusion of life skills. So let us just start the session. Allow me just 2 minutes to share my screen, please. This is not going to be a presentation that I'm going to make. So like Dr. Jaya also started with a question, there will be a lot of questions, and I hope we can all interact and we can all contribute to this discussion and make it enriching for everybody. So you can stop me at any time you wish if you want to either share something or if you have a doubt and you want to ask. And you can also type in the chat box, which I will be looking at. So today we will be talking about life skills for transformative education. Nelson Mandela said many years back that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. How many of us agree with Nelson Mandela here? Can you just put a yes or no in the chat box, please? Or maybe raise your hand, whatever works for you. Yeah. So I think many people here, many teachers possibly, all of us agree that education, if used in the right way, can be a very powerful weapon, and we can indeed change the world with education. So if we have to do that, I have another question for you. These are some young kids and there is a school. If I were to ask you to just look at them and look at their body language and just think, are they coming to school or coming out of school? What do you think? Are they going into school or are they coming out of school? Okay, somebody saying going into school, out.
I think it depends on the kind of school it is.
Yeah, okay. So let us say that it's not Ram Ratna International School. It's a normal school, a general school, anywhere.
Then out of school.
So probably they are coming out of school. Yeah, many of you are saying coming out of school. Yeah, and if we go back to our own schooling, okay, and if we just remember what we felt like going into school and what we felt like when the bell rang and when we came out of school, not only when we came out, but just the moments before the bell was about to ring and we were anticipating just running out of school. We can all imagine what it feels like. Yeah. And then Victor Hugo very famously said, he who opens a school closes a prison. But most of you are saying that these children are coming out of school. Don't they look like prisoners who are happy to be set free? What do you think? And if you agree that most students are happy to run out of school than they are to go into school, then do we not agree with Victor Hugo when he says, he who opens a school closes a prison? What are your thoughts on this? And what is happening here with our schools? Any thoughts on this? People have raised their hand. Kiran sir, would you like to share your thought on this? I think Kiran sir and Deepa ma'am, both of you have raised your hands. Okay.
I think they had raised their hands for the earlier question.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, you can please lower your hand. Yes.
Ma'am, my understanding about this quote would be like this: when one goes to school, they open up their minds So the prison which is there of misunderstandings or misconceptions, those prisons usually get closed
Yes.
when so this is my understanding about
Okay,
this quote.
right, right, absolutely. So you think that what he's trying to say is that we open our mind and therefore
Right.
we close out things like misunderstanding, etc., which might at some point land people into prison,
Prisons. Right.
and
Right.
we are away from that. Okay, thank
Yes.
you,
Yes.
Deepa ma'am, for sharing that.
I would
We
like
are
to add here
yes, yes,
that
yes,
one very important purpose of school education is character development. So
yes,
we look at developing such morally strong, ethically strong individuals that they would not become criminals.
right,
So a good school can lead to lesser crime
right,
and hence no prisons.
absolutely, through character development. If we are able to develop character through education, huh? Absolutely, I totally agree with you, Dr. Jaya. Thank you for that. Um, and you're also saying schools should not become analogous to prisons. Yes, that is actually the point that I was trying to make, that schools should not resemble prisons. In fact, schools should be places where we are setting our students free, so that their minds are free, and also that in the future, like you said, they need not be see the real prison. True education helps us to be responsible citizens. Knowledge is power. Okay, so you can take that mile further. Absolutely. And if we have to, you know, have education or a school like Victor Hugo is talking about, okay, a school where minds are opened and character is built, we must look at the history of education. How has education reached where we are in the past couple of years? So, if we look at the history of education, the education or the school system has always been related to what is happening in the society. Because mainly formal education was seen as a tool to provide a trained workforce, education has been related to the developments, the industrial developments which are happening in the society. Right now, we are in the fourth industrial revolution. And the fourth industrial revolution is the Internet of Things. And we have advanced from the formal system, started somewhere in the 1900s in the West. In India, it was much before that in the Gurukul system. So in the formal system as we know it right now, which is of course the westernized education, started in the 1900s, and that was when mass production started in factories, and people were required for the assembly line work, and there was very strict division of labor. But now, in the fourth industrial revolution, we are in cyber physical systems, we are in the Internet of Things, and life as we know it has completely changed for us. So, yesterday I placed an order on Amazon at 11 o'clock, and today morning by 11 o'clock, I had the stuff which I ordered for. And I was wondering, who are these people who are working the whole night to deliver things to me? And how has my order reached them? I don't know from where my stuff is coming, but it's magically there at my door. The way we shop has changed, the way we cook has changed, the way we travel has changed, and of course, the way we communicate has changed. In fact, the life as we know it has completely changed, and that is because of the technological advances that we have had. Yeah. Now, this world, a world where technology is advancing at a really fast rate, was known as the VUCA world. A VUCA world, a world which was volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And when this term was coined, it was coined in relation to technological change. So people were saying that technology is going to advance so fast, and we need to equip our learners to adapt to this changing, fast changing world because of technology. And then the pandemic came, and that changed a lot of things for us. So whether it is the pandemic, whether it is technology, whether it is war, would you agree with me if I say that one field which is directly impacted is education? Would you agree with me? Was education impacted by the pandemic?
I think the educators actually rose to the occasion and tried to control the damage as much as they could.
Yes, yes, they were amazingly resilient and adaptive
Yes,
in the
yes.
face of a very big adversity, actually. And education, I think the way we knew it and the way we know it now is completely
It's
different.
changed forever. It has changed
Forever.
forever.
Absolutely, and many changes, like you're saying, are here to stay. Yeah, so the VUCA world has led to a sea change in education, and in a way, we changed. The change was thrust upon us due to the pandemic. We were changing, but the pace was pretty slow when it came to education. But the pandemic came, and suddenly, like you're saying, we rose to the occasion, and we took, in a way, a leap in order to reach where circumstances wanted us to be, just so that our learners would not suffer. That was the only thing which was, I think, uppermost in our minds, that there should not be loss of learning. At the same time, in spite of our best efforts, there was a tremendous loss of learning, because technological divide is still there. Not everybody has access to resources the way a few would have. So in that sense, the pandemic has changed things quite a bit for many people. If we look at the war which is happening in one corner in Europe, okay, is it impacting us in some way? The war in Russia and Ukraine. Do you think it is impacting us here in India? You can type or you can share, and please know that it is what you feel you're sharing. Yes, maybe no. Okay. Yes, it is. Champa ma'am, would you like to share how you think it is impacting us?
Namaste, ma'am.
The war in Ukraine,
Hello.
how is it? Yes.
Recently, I don't know exact the scenario, but recently we had been to one of the goldsmiths just to take some of the other material. So
Hmm.
here, the thing which came into picture, that he clearly said that
Hmm.
due to this war situation, the gold price had actually raised.
Hmm.
Secondly, the petrol cost, which
Hmm.
is one by day, another again it is rising. So this is the two things which I came across uh, and came to know that yes, it is getting affected.
It is getting affected. Yes, absolutely, ma'am. You have shared two very relevant points. At an individual level, how it is affecting us. At
I would
policy
also like
level,
to add, I would
yes,
like to add something here,
yes,
ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
It's any such war is not just a matter of two countries, even if it is between two countries mainly,
Hmm.
because there are international organizations involved like NATO, like UN. Then the countries connected to those organizations, the countries, the neighboring countries of these nations, all these countries are directly or indirectly impacted because the international relations get affected. It
Absolutely.
might lead to new rules in the future,
Yes,
new treaties in the future,
yes.
changes in the future, which is going to affect the whole world.
Which is going to affect, absolutely, which is going to affect the whole world. And
Yes.
already the impact on
On
medical students.
already being impacted,
Yes.
the oil prices, etc.
Yes. So anything happening in any corner of the world is going to have far-reaching impacts on anybody who is in the world. So a war in Ukraine has led to medical education in India come under scrutiny. There is a change in what medical institutions should do and should not do, and all that has happened because of the war in Ukraine. Production of wheat, Amar sir, I'm not aware of this. What is the production of wheat? How is it related? Can you please share?
Yeah, Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
Actually, because of the war, because Ukraine and Russia are two countries which are huge producer of wheat and supplier of wheat.
Okay.
Now, because of that, the impact has fallen. So India
Hmm.
is actually leading right now to produce, to supply
Wheat.
wheat to all.
Right.
And again, yeah, that's the reason.
Right, right, right. So, like Jaya ma'am said, it will impact each country in a different way, probably. So, no longer can we say that something which takes place in a very distant part of the world. What do we have to go? Why? What do we have to do with that? Why should we bother with that? Because somewhere or the other, we will be affected at the international level, at the national level, and like Shampa ma'am shared, at the personal level as well. We will be impacted, right? Now, if the world is so complex and if changes which are so far away from us, something which started in Wuhan, affected the world, it's now almost 2.5 years, and it's changed everything that we know. So if that is the case, then we need to have education which is equipped, and which equips our learners to deal with this kind of unanticipated fast changes that we are experiencing. Now, if the world has changed so much and we take a peek inside our classrooms, and here I'm not, I'm sure I saw the picture of your school in the PPT that was shared earlier, and outside it looks so beautiful. I can only imagine how it would be inside. Uh, if we would go into any normal any school across India, probably that would be what we would see there is something which I have illustrated here. On which side do you think is a school in 2022 or 2020, maybe before pandemic? Right or left? Or let me say colored picture or black and white picture. Yeah, the right one would be the present day school, and the left one. What do you think? When is that? The left side. The left side school. Can you just think from when would that be? The school on the left. 1850, yes, it is around the 1900s, 1850, 1900s. That is when the third industrial revolution came in, and we needed people to work in the factories. Now, if we compare these two and we see them, the school in 1900s was like this for a very simple reason. Okay. At that time, the workers who were needed to work in the factories, they needed to be trained to sit in one place. They needed to obey only the bell of the factory, not the sunlight or sun going down or the sun rising, just the bell. They needed to ignore their physical needs, because you cannot leave your machine, you cannot leave the assembly line and take a bio break unless there is a designated time for a break. So these were the things that at that point of time education needed to train the children for the world of work. And therefore came in the formal school, where there was a bell. When the bell rings, the child goes inside. When the bell rings, the child comes out. When the child has to take a bio break or drink water, the child has to ask for permission, because you need to conquer your physical needs. And the child needs to be trained to become a specialist in one repetitive task that the child has to do, because that is what a factory worker does. Okay. Now, if we see, and now, as we said, we are in the fourth industrial revolution. Do we need children who will do one repetitive task? How many of us even remember the phone numbers of our close relatives? Do we remember any phone number now? No, that is a repetitive task. Earlier, we used to have those small address books in which we used to write. But now we don't need to do that. How many of us, if we have to do a simple calculation, we just open our phone and we use the calculator? Okay, we don't need kids to do that. But if we look at the structure of the classroom, yes, the blackboard has been replaced by a screen. As teachers, we are using technology. We are showing something. We are showing films. We are showing some pictures from the net, etc. What about the whole environment of the school? And here again, I'm talking of a normal school. Has the whole environment changed in 100 years? Has it changed? And I'm sure you will agree with you. Yeah, Paramjit is saying no. So the environment of the school has not changed. The environment is just the way it was 100 years back. But the world as we know it has changed. And therefore, if we see, we are still using in general education, we are still using what is called the factory model of education. Put an individual in, get a person who is similar to every other person out. Okay. Now, what happens? What is the result of that? If we use a factory model of education in an age where we don't need people who are just doing the most routine kind of jobs, what happens is it directly affects our employment ratio. This is the screenshot which I've taken from the India Skills Report 2022. And if you look at the employability of our graduates in the year 2022, only 46%, 46.25% of our graduates are employable, which means that more than 50% of our graduates are not employable. Graduates who have a valid degree in their hand. And then we have so many people who are also out of school. Employers say that skill shortage is leading to entry level vacancies. There are jobs, but people cannot be taken because they do not have the skills to take up that job. Yes, you will not see progress in terms of economy. Absolutely, because we are not giving the economy what it needs. Okay, and if we continue to do that, what is going to happen? We are going to have 243 million youth who will be looking for jobs, but because they don't have the skills, because as educators we have not equipped them with the skills, they will not be able to get the job. Lack of innovation, absolutely. And we are not teaching innovation because we are subscribing, we are in fact stifling innovation. We don't want them to be innovators because we are still using the factory model of education. Yeah. So then we come to this question that we need to ask ourselves: are we educating our future generation for the past? And if we do that, what would happen? Okay, I don't know how many of you remember. I think only Dr. Jaya and some people who are, who are maybe closer to me in age might remember. Do you remember Sabira Merchant? Anybody here who remembers Sabira Merchant? So Sabira Merchant is the lady who is there on the left. And when I was a child, she used to run a very, Usha, do you remember? She used to run a very popular show on TV, which my mom used to make me watch. And it was called What's the Good Word? Yeah, what's the good word? Yes. And her diction, and that is why my mom used to make me watch that show, because at that time there is no internet. There are no places from where you can learn how to speak well, or you can increase your vocabulary from looking or listening to another person. And this was a show where she would have one word, and then she would give synonyms, and then you have to find that word. It was quite an interesting show, a hit at that point of time. But this was in the 1970s. Nowadays, nobody is going to watch Sabira Merchant even if she comes on TV with the show What's the Good Word, because everybody is busy playing Wordle now, right? But if we continue to show Sabira Merchant, there will be no viewership. The media has understood this, but in education, sadly, we are still showing something which is much older than What's the Good Word, though our students have gone much beyond that. And then that brings us to a very important question. What is the purpose of education? Why do we, as parents, and I'm sure we have many parents here, as parents, if I were to ask you, why do you want to educate your children? Why do you send your children to school? What would you say? What would your answer be?
The participants can also unmute and speak up. Please feel free to speak up.
Yes, right. Thank you. Thank you for that, Jaya ma'am. So that they make the world a better place. Yeah.
Okay. I feel for behaving, acting, and thinking in a civilized manner, to be able to live their life and be successful in terms of peace of mind, satisfaction at the end of the day,
right,
and contribute to the world, not to get on any wrong track.
Yeah,
stay focused, have a purpose in life.
Right. So, so objectives for themselves to be fulfilled and for them to contribute also to the world. That is what I'm hearing you say, right? Contribute productively to the world. Thank you for that, Dr. Jaya. And then for new opportunity, develop personality to face upcoming challenges. This is what Amar sir is saying. So this is why as parents we send children to school. And if I were to ask you, because you're all teachers here, as teachers, why do you want to educate your students? Would you have almost similar answers to that? to grow up with better social skills and improve behavior? Yes, absolutely. Would your answers be almost similar? Contribute and upgrade to the changing world? Yes, to contribute to the changing world, right? So, as teachers, also, these are the things that we want our children to do, and that is why we educate our children, right? Now, when I'm looking at all your answers, like Jaya ma'am said, to contribute to the world, to be better people themselves, and everybody here is saying the same thing. How come none of you, either as parents or as teachers, have said that you want them to score an A plus grade, or you want them to clear NEET, or you want them to top IITG? How come none of you said that?
That's not the only scale to measure the overall personality and character development and skill development.
Right, right. So we actually deep inside we know that that is not the reason why we educate, isn't it? We know that we are not sending our kids to score full marks in mathematics or to top the class and come first. Hmm? But then why is it, as parents as well as teachers, when we actually are in the process of education, do we limit our vision to only that? To only getting good marks, to only clearing a particular competitive exam, or to get into a college of our choice? Why do we do that? Because that is not the purpose that we had in mind when we sent our child to school. Now, these are some questions for us to really think about, right? Because our whole education system seems to be so focused on achievement, so focused on achievement. The other day I was watching, during the pandemic, I was watching Dr. Devi Shetty, the famous physician. He was talking, and this was at the height of the second wave when so many doctors were needed. And he said that I know that so many MBBS students who already have their degree are sitting at home preparing for their masters, the NEET exam for their masters, and they are not into active service. Why are they not serving? Because this is the time when doctors are needed. And he said, what I would like to tell them is that whatever you're studying right now is there in a book. You can read that book anytime. This lesson which life is teaching you as a medical professional is something that only you have the opportunity to learn. So don't miss this lesson. Please get into active service. But isn't it sad that their years of professional training as doctors has not given them the critical thinking to think what is important for me right now, has not given them the values and the attitudes which tell them that right now I'm required. Dr. Jaya said that as teachers, we rose up to the occasion and we did whatever we could to ensure that our learners learn. But then why were these doctors sitting at home preparing for their PG exams? Okay, when they were the ones who were needed, nobody has their skill set, right? What if teachers were to sit at home and say, okay, I will use these 2 years to upgrade myself? Could teachers have not done that? They would have said, I'll do one online course from Stanford University. I have 2 years. I will not teach my students. We could also do that, right? But we
In
know
fact,
that
in fact, teachers did both the things. They
both
had
the
to
things.
actually learn technology, get
Yes,
used to a completely different new platform.
yes,
So they had to upgrade themselves at the same time, taking their classes, doing all
yes.
the work which is expected.
Absolutely. So we stretched out and we went that extra mile to do it because we knew that nobody can take our place and we knew our purpose in life. Yeah. So why is education not able to equip our learners with that purpose? And that is because many times, as parents and teachers, we might forget what is the real purpose of education, and we might end up focusing on narrow short term gains. Okay, like marks in an exam. So, why education? The most common answers that research says, and this is a question, these questions which I asked you are not my questions. They were questions which were asked by the father of positive psychology, Martin Seligman, to a lot of educators and a lot of parents. And he found like his research says the same thing that you all would have told me, that the purpose of education is not academic achievement. It goes much beyond that. So, what is the purpose of education? Probably that the learner should get gainful employment Academic achievement, yes, but not as an end in itself, only as a means to something else. Productive adulthood. Education has to equip a person to become a productive adult, which is something all of you have told me. And it should be a return on investment. If I'm investing so much on education, the person who comes out should be able to contribute that much to the society. It should be a return on investment. These are the things that we actually expect out of education. Now, if these are the things that education is to provide to the learners, what skills and competencies do we need to equip our learners with? What do you think? What are the skills that we
Ma'am,
need? Yes,
ma'am,
Janvi.
Mr. Kapoor had raised his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry,
So
I'm
can we
not
take
able to see.
take
Sure, sure,
his?
please. Yes,
That's
yes.
okay. Mr. Kapoor, do you want to share your thought? Please unmute yourself and speak up. I saw you raising your hand. Okay. Ma'am, I think you may continue.
Yeah. If he raises his hand again, could you please let me know and then I'll pause. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is it is he raising his hand again?
Audible?
Yes, yes. Yes, sir, you're audible, please.
Audible. My question is the parental pressure is nowadays too much.
Yes,
The child is coming to the school with the parental pressure.
yes,
Hmm?
yes,
He
sir.
is not knowing कि first आना क्या होता है. But
Hmm.
the parent is pressing us कि ये तो nursery में they are talking as like the student is in university and why he has not stood first and this and that. So competition is taking lot of toll of learning.
Yes, yes.
That
I
is the
agree.
main problem.
Yes,
So,
I totally agree with you, and which
hmm,
is why I also feel that जब हम life skills education की बात करते हैं, it is not only for the students. It is also we need to have a systems approach. इसमें we have to involve the teachers, we have to involve the parents, we have to involve the community because they also need to understand कि whatever you're saying that I want my child to do well in this competitive exam, but after that what? Have you seen each person who does well in the competitive exam become successful in life? So many of them get a job and then they're not able to hold on to that job. Why is that? So, what is the use of being successful if you don't have the skills to
but
succeed in your life and work? These
but
things
actually,
probably. Yes, sir.
because of the economic conditions, parents are not thinking
They are
education
not.
beyond transaction.
Yes, yes. Very
For them,
true.
it is a transaction,
Yes.
and they are getting something tangible in the
Hmm.
shape of report card.
Yes, yes. That
Hmm?
is true, sir. That is very, very true.
You know?
And therefore, probably, if they are not aware, maybe as educators, we can actually create awareness in them. And maybe somewhere, what I have seen is schools which have life skills education. The parents say that children are having improved communication with them. They earlier the child would probably demand in a different way. Now the child is speaking like this. I'm seeing my child become more empathetic because of the classes. So they might not see something on the progress card, but this behavioral change is something that they are able to observe. And sometimes, probably to start with, as educators, we need to tell them ki please look out whether you can see because it might slip their notice if they are not able to see. So if they are also taken into this whole endeavor that is there, then only can it work. I strongly believe that only teacher training या बच्चों को कुछ देना is not going to make a difference. We
Even
must involve.
even our teachers are not changing their mindset towards the no, कि education is something beyond the grades.
Yes,
That is also a problem because that is the easiest way
exactly.
to give grades and go ahead with the things.
Yes, I agree with
Hmm?
you. And
We all,
one of the most common questions that teachers ask me when administrators are not around and when we do life skills classes with them, they say that you're telling me all this, I will do all this, but if it is at the cost of maths and science, उसमें marks कम पड़ गए, तो people are going to ask me how is the child not doing well in the subject? What am I supposed to focus on? But then my answer is that if you really integrate life skills, तो उसका अचीवमेंट मैथ साइंस में कम नहीं होने वाला है, बढ़ने वाला है. Because life skills will equip the child with the skills which are required even for exam success. बच्चा will be able to cope up with anxiety, will be able to cope up with stress, और इससे बढ़ेगा ना, performance will become better, not less.
Actually, ma'am, the assembly line is too long. The primary teacher is saying, I have got a student like this from the parents. Then the elementary, they are blaming the primary ones. And the college ones are blaming the elementary ones. Then the colleges are blaming to the school.
Yes.
I are now working on the schools because they say we are getting bad slates.
Yes. Yes. So, see,
Okay, carry on.
the buck doesn't stop anywhere, but somebody has to, take the responsibility of doing something about it. And I think as educators, always it stops at us because we are responsible for a lot of things. Jitna humse ho sake, we should try our best to do. That's what I feel.
That we are doing.
Yes.
And I think the schools must accept the responsibility. And in fact, it's a matter of pride that we are the ones who are making the foundation.
Yes.
So let us do it with complete sincerity and authenticity.
Absolutely.
As school teachers.
Absolutely, Dr. Jay. I totally agree
So that
with you.
the parent orientation is also required.
Very important. Where you have raised a very relevant point, sir, that we cannot leave parents out of this whole thing. They have to be on board with us. That is very, very, very important. And we have to convince them.
Because they are of the same education system for the last 40 years.
Yes.
We are teaching just bread and butter.
Yes, 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 true. But the world has changed a lot now. And that is what we need to, which is why, sir, now I have included all these slides in my PPT. पहले मेरे PPT में ये सारे convincing वाले slides नहीं होते थे. But I feel this is the way we can actually convince for the need for education to change. Like, for example, if we tell a parent that this is what Mr. Piyush Nangru is saying, what kind of skills do we need? Nobody in the industry is looking at what rank that person got in an exam or what marks that person got. The skills that people, the employers are really looking at, and this is again from the India Skills Report, is behavioral skills. The skills to communicate within teams, ownership, agility, flexibility is a mindset that people are looking for now. Effective communication, leadership, cooperation. This is what an employer is looking for. And if the child remains with the head buried in the books, the child is not going to acquire these skills. Therefore, if we want our children to get good jobs also, we need to equip them with these skills in the present day situation. That is what we must convince the parents as well. And then we must also ask ourselves, what is that one thing, okay, that we would like to change to make education more impactful for our learners? And this is a question that I would just invite you to hold in your minds and maybe find the answer for this while we go on. Okay. So if we want education to be different, and of course, if we want education to be transformative, we have to understand what is transformative education in the first place. So transformative education is empowering the learner, making the learner the center of education. And how do we empower the learner? We empower the learner to see the world differently, to see the world through an ethical lens. If we look at all the problems that and really terrible problems that we can see happening in the future, whether it is climate crisis or whether it is violence or whether it is health issues which are coming up, if only we were ethical, if only China would have told the world beforehand what's going to happen, so much would have been, saved. But that did not happen. So an ethical lens to look at the world is very important. Just give me a moment. An ethical lens to look at the world is very important. And what is most important is that we need to equip our learners with the power, okay, to challenge and change status quo. This is something which is required today of our learners, that they become agents of change. And never before has this need been so strongly felt as it is now. Therefore, earlier when we said that education, and if we look back at our Indian definitions of education, education as self-realization, education as realization of full potential of human being, education for the head, heart, and hand. If we look at the Indian definitions, we have always looked at education like this, where the individual is an agent of transformation for himself or herself and also for the society. And when I asked you what would you like education to be? All of you have said the same thing. Okay, if you remember, I asked you that question, and all of you said something very similar to this. So, transformative education, teachers and learners are geared to motivate and empower happy learners. So, we are looking at well being and happiness for our learners. We are looking at decision making. Dr. Jaya started with that question. What was a difficult decision that you took? We need to really train them on how to make informed decisions, and not only at their individual level, because we see if Putin decides to invade, it's an individual, almost an individual decision he made. The whole world is going to be impacted. So decisions at the individual level, community level, as well as the global level. And therefore now, just a brief glance into how can life skills, what is the potential and power of life skills to lead to education which is transformative. So what are life skills? Okay. Nowadays everybody knows the term, and people are very much aware, but still there is not much conceptual clarity about what life skills are. When I started out as a life skills researcher way back in 2008, I would say I'm doing life skills research, and they would say, "Kya hai? What are life skills?" Okay, and then after a lot of trials and errors, I came to this analogy. So if I were to ask you, how many of you are breathing now? Just put your hands up. Yeah, I hope all of us are. Yes, all of us are breathing now. And since when did we start breathing? From the moment we were born, right? Did anybody teach us to breathe? When we were born, did the or doctor whisper some instructions in our ears that, okay, now do this, do this, do this, and then you will start breathing? No, we automatically started, right? Nobody taught us how to breathe, and we have continued to breathe till now, okay, without anybody teaching us how to breathe, okay? And we take approximately 20,000 breaths per day. How many of us are skilled in the technique of breathing? Some of us might be, right? Yeah, we have learned how to breathe correctly, the technique of pranayam, the importance of correct breathing. And research proves that if we are skilled in the technique of breathing, it has positive impacts on almost every aspect, right from mental well-being, physical well-being, everything. Okay. So something as simple as breathing can also be the effectiveness of this very, very basic thing that we all do without consciousness. We do it. It can be enhanced by training. Okay. In the same way, we all live life. Okay. And we have learned in our own way how to live it. But if we were to train in how to live life, which is nothing but life skills, what are the skills that we need to live a more effective life? Then that would help us to live a much, much, much better life. And these skills that we all need in order to live our most highest potential are nothing but life skills. Okay. So what are life skills? They are a set of psychosocial competencies. Dr. Jaya has beautifully written in the creative that she has made. They are those set of skills which just help individuals live a better quality of life. These skills are psychosocial and cognitive in nature, meaning they are to do with the heart, the emotions, and the mind. They are universal. Each and every human being uses life skills and need life skills. At the same time, there is nobody in the world who does not have life skills. All of us have life skills, but we need to enhance them in order to live a more productive life for ourselves. When we talk of life skills, we mainly talk of four aspects. We talk of knowledge, attitudes, and values. They are an integral part of life skills. When Dr. Jaya asked about decision, any decision that you have taken, whether it is moving from Delhi to Bombay or any other decision, that decision is always taken on the basis of our own ethics and values. Very, very, very important. And there are also skills involved. Yeah. Uh, Somebody, VPRRIS is saying, learning is the beginning, learning to be is the beginning. Yes, yes, absolutely. That is the four pillars of education. Learning to be, yes, one of the four pillars, very important. How to advance our personal agency. Learning to be is the beginning of life skills. Absolutely, sir. And also channelizing. I don't understand what you mean by that. Would you like to share? VPRRIS?
Yes, ma'am. Like also channelizing their interpersonal relationship,
Yes.
communication skills, and so on. Like they
Absolutely.
know how to take the decision, but it's
Yes.
our job to teach them or channelize.
Channelize them properly. Yes. To a sort of, can we say like like kind of a polishing to what is there. So some
Yes.
things are already there. We just need to polish them, yeah, so that they can shine and emerge as diamonds. So life skills are psychosocial abilities. Lot of debate about definition of life skills, and finally, this document gives us what is the definition of life skills. Also, we as educators must be very clear about what are not life skills. Okay, so I have seen even in policy documents things like cooking and gardening are life skills, but they are not. Cooking and gardening is a psychomotor skill. We need our hands to do that. It is not a life skill. Swimming is a life skill. It is not. Swimming is a skill that we need to survive. It is a survival skill, but it is not a life skill. Life skills are psychosocial and cognitive. Okay, and they help us to be good human beings, most definitely. So if
Ma'am,
we,
I would like to share a thought here.
yes, yes, ma'am.
So it is said about skills that either you use it or you lose it. So
Yes,
it's all about practicing skills. I have
absolutely.
seen schools implementing life skills curriculum, like CBSE also
They had a
proposes a curriculum. I think they have a textbook.
yes,
So one way of doing it is making children aware of all the theory, making them do some written activities, conducting a written examination on life skills. But I think that is just the theory or knowledge about life skills. You can acquire life skills only when you practice it. So in
absolutely.
schools and in our classrooms, through our subjects or non-academic activities, we have to ensure that we give them opportunities to practice those skills, not just know about the skills. Like if we
Absolutely.
talk of compassion and we give them a presentation on what is compassion, it will not help.
It
But
will
why
not.
don't we actually involve them, take them to the community outside, let them actually use their hands and mind to do something, act, so that it becomes
Very important.
a skill which they have acquired. It's not just the knowledge, but
Yes.
the attitude, the value, and the skill,
Yes.
everything acquired
Yes.
through actions. So
Absolutely.
use.
Very valid point, Dr. Jaya. All components need to be there. And like you said, why is it a skill? Because practice makes it better. And unless we give them actual practice of using the skills in life, it's not going to work. And you've also said the different avenues. We can do it in a curricular activity. We can do it in a co-curricular activity. One of the best ways of learning life skills is community service, by doing something in the community and learning life skills. So practicing is very, very important. Yes, use a skill or lose it. Very important for us to integrate that into an approach that we use while incorporating life skills. Otherwise, it is of no use if you just get a grade or something on that paper. Yeah. So life skills into four categories: social skills, coping skills, and thinking skills. I'm just going to briefly go through these four categories. So if we talk about social skills, we under social skills, we would cover skills like self-awareness, empathy, communication, and interpersonal skills. Self-awareness, the ability to know ourselves. Everything starts with the self. Self awareness is known to be the mother skill. Unless we are aware of ourselves, we cannot integrate any other life skill. Sir said, learning to be. Learning to be is learning to be my full potential, to use my full potential. And in order to do that, I must start with knowing myself, self awareness. Once I know myself and understand myself, it's very important for me to understand the other, because unless I understand the other, I cannot live my life productively. I cannot live my life if only I'm happy. Everybody around me also needs to be happy. And for that, I need the skill of empathy, of understanding the perspective of the other person. Yes, yes, is working. Yes, sir. We're working with EQ and SQ. Very important. SQ probably to do with values and attitudes. EQ also to do with the attitudes and with the heart. Very. What is AQ? AQ is something I've not heard.
Adversity quotient, ma'am.
Adversity quotient. Yes, absolutely. Making people more resilient with the help of life skills. And it's very, very interesting how empathy makes us also contributes to our AQ. Because if I'm able to understand the other person, suppose somebody has wronged me in some way. Okay. Nowadays, young people get very angry if somebody behaves badly towards them. and then it's almost an adversity, a huge thing that they have to overcome. But if I'm able to understand that person's point of view, if I'm able to empathize with that person, that yes, this person is behaved with me like this, but maybe it is because what that person is undergoing, it helps me cope with the adversity. So empathy is very, very important as a life skill for ourselves and to help us to live with others. And of course, communication and interpersonal skills. The pandemic, if not anything, it has taught us communication and interpersonal skills, how to communicate and how to live with each other. Okay. Now, when we use,
Ma'am, if
yes,
I
please.
could interrupt, I know we are approaching the closing time of the talk, but still, for AQ, as it is very relevant to educators, would like to bring a point to our attention here. India is considered the suicide capital of the world. It's because the cream of our country, the best of the students after 12th grade, when they don't get into medical college, engineering, or any other college of their choice, so many of them commit suicide even after over the results of grade 10 and 12. So they take it as something which is against their wish, and in this adverse situation which is not as per their wish, they don't have the ability to accept failure.
Yeah.
Failure is a part of life, as a learning for life, and understanding that one has to be resilient, one has to accept all the situations and still go on. The value for life and being resilient in any situation, that adversity quotient is missing in the best of the children. In
Yes.
fact, mostly in the best of the children. Academically smart children lack this
Yes. Yes.
because they get into a fixed mindset.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so probably if that child had self-awareness and knew that I am much bigger than my marks or my failure, that okay, this is an exam, I failed in this, and is able to analyze what are the reasons that led to this, and in spite of that I have so many other things, and is able to accept himself or herself that okay, this is a failure and it's also a part of me, like my successes till now have been, and then motivate oneself to go on in spite of failure, then probably that person will be able to learn from failure. And we all know failure is the best teacher ever. Yes, our marks absolutely don't define us. And then if we have self awareness, we know what defines us. Okay. So if we have to teach our kids that marks don't define, then we must teach them what does define them. And it is the qualities that we have within us. That is what we are defined by, not whether I have a new dress to wear for any Instagrammable event, or whether I'm in the best place at the right place at the right time. That is not what really defines us. So these things we need to really convey to our students, and therefore help them to face any adversity that comes, because we really don't know what is the future going to hold for any one of us, right? So here, Dr. Jaya, when you're talking about adversity quotient, this is, I think, a very, very good example of adversity quotient. So this is, I came across this news yesterday. There was a concert being held. And have you come across this? Anybody who has seen this news? This concert is being held in Kharkiv in Ukraine. It's being held in a subway station where people are sheltering. There are bombs being dropped all around. Kharkiv has been under siege for a very long time. And these musicians chose to play there, to hold a concert there. This was the day when their annual music festival was to open on the 26th of March. And obviously now it couldn't. But then they said, okay, let's do it in the subway. And these musicians have gotten together to do this in the subway, and it is so interesting. Yes, from the Titanic. Yes, when the musicians played when the ship was sinking. Yeah. And this is something which really caught my eye. One of the musicians, she said that in the first few days there was a silence within me when we are trying to come on terms with adversity and what's happening around us. Then I understood that we must continue to live in spite of adversity. My life must go on. And if I know what is my purpose, that I'm living for my ideals, it is our purpose, knowing our why, that gives us a reason to continue. So if I know my purpose for my ideals, for my country, for my future, then that helps me survive an adversity. Okay. And this last thing which she said, it really touched me. She says playing our instruments is what we know best, and we will do this in all circumstances. There is self-awareness that this is what the way I contribute to the world. This is my strength, and I want to contribute to the world, to my countrymen and women, with this strength of mine. The purpose of life is a life of purpose, yes, and knowing what is my purpose, and then being empathetic also to the plight of these people who are living in the subway station for such a long time under so much anxiety. Everything is uncertain. So knowing, having empathy for them, and knowing the best way to communicate. So music is the best way I can communicate, so I can do a concert there for them. I think this is a sterling example of all social skills being used in order to surmount one of the biggest challenges that one can face in life. And I don't know whether they have had life skills training, but if we equip our students with life skills training, this in a nutshell is what our students will be able to do. Okay. So I hope with just this one example and with just talking about social skills, I have succeeded a little bit in making my point that life skills are needed. We need to make life skills an integral part of our education if we want our education to be transformative. And I implore to you, please let us be fellow companions on this path, and let us make life skills a part of whatever educational endeavor. Even if we meet a child in the street outside the school, let that be a lesson in life skills for the child, and oftentimes we learn life skills from children. So let us also be continuous learners in life skills, just so that we make life better for ourselves and for everybody else. Thank you very, very much for your patient listening and for your contribution. Any
Thank
questions?
you
I
for
would love
pertinent
to.
examples that you've chosen, which very importantly bring to our attention how for success in life we need to have these skills. Ma'am, there's a question from
Yes,
Miss Sunanda.
yes, yes. What suggestion will you give to parents regarding marks they do not accept? How to make parents understand this? So I would show them the India Skills Report, Sunanda, where it is not you and me saying that let me teach the child skills for being a creative thinker, or let me teach the child interpersonal relationships, or let me teach the child how to work in a team. Nowadays children mostly come from nuclear families, and it is very difficult for them to even share their belongings with somebody else, but this is what they actively need to learn. So I would keep a copy of the India Skills Report, or maybe some things, and I would show the parent that this is what experts are saying. Would you like your child to have employability skills? And if you would, then these are the skills that employers are asking for. If you want, I can teach them to the child. So probably that would be the way.
I think that's a perfect answer. Also, there is research which has been done intensively that proves that it's not the toppers of the class or the academically strongest people who succeed in life in every sense of the way.
Yes.
The top CEOs of the world, they were not their class toppers, by the way, and not all of them have come out of Ivy League colleges.
Yes.
So I think if we are acquainted with this information, we can bring this knowledge to our parents as well, and let us be insistent. Ultimately, they want the child to love the school, to talk about different things with confidence, to be able to question, to be able to research, think critically. If we are able to bring these skills, I don't think parents would only go for marks. We can bring a change in our parents as well.
Yes, and we might find a very strong ally in our students, because students know very well what they want. Yeah.
Yes.
So in all these, during the pandemic times, when I had workshops with a lot of students, and I asked, what are you learning? And they are learning everything from how to make a YouTube video, or how to give a talk, to kickboxing and Japanese online. And when I asked them, which skill do you want to learn, most of them said communication skill, but many of them said, I want to know what are my strengths and my weaknesses. So students know very, very much what they want. They are very clear. And if we don't give it to them in education, they will learn from this way or that way. They will learn what they want. So we might as well make them our partners in this endeavor.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for bringing this emphasis towards the end of the talk that we teachers can do our job very well if we consider parents as our partners. So instead of looking at them as the people on the other side, why don't we join them, bring them into our team, take them into confidence, regular talking, communication with right information, which is backed by research, will help us changing their mindset. Ma'am, thank you so much. I know you have another session lined up. It was supposed to be at 4 or so, and I promised we will be able to wrap up by 4. So we would not be taking any more questions at the moment, but if you have any questions, pass them on to me. I'll reach out to Dr. Gauri, who is always kind to help us with our queries. Ma'am, it's a short video showing our gratitude to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jaya. Thank you so much. It's been really wonderful interacting with you. I didn't know how an hour passed.
We felt the same. Thank you very much, ma'am. And we look forward to having your continued mentorship. The Aadharshila Talks happen every Monday. Next Monday, we see you, all the participants. We look forward to meeting you again and bring to you another inspiring educator, a professor from IIT Delhi. See you then next Monday. Thank you very much, ma'am. Dr. Gauri. Thank you, Mr. Kapoor, for your insightful questions and thoughts, and to all the participants.
Thank you, everyone.
See you, ma'am. I would like everyone to know that I have been ma'am's student for life skills course, which I took about 5 years back. And you impacted my thinking a lot, ma'am. Thank you.
But some students come in knowing more than what we are going to teach, and I think, Jaya, you were one of them.
Please. No, that's not true. Thank you so much, ma'am. Pranams to you and wish you all the best.
Thanks a lot. All the best for this, and I hope I'll join sometime. I'll definitely join the Aadharshila Talks. Thanks a ton. Bye.
Thank
everybody.
you. See you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the wonderful interaction, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you all on 4th of April at 3:30 p.m. Take care and have a great evening ahead. Enjoy the marvelous Monday.